For over 70 years, the world has watched a tiny strip of land survive what should have crushed it. War, terror, global hatred. Every generation seems to raise up new enemies against it. And still, Israel stands. It doesn't make sense. Strategically, it's outnumbered. Politically, isolated. Geographically, vulnerable on all sides. And yet, there's a reason the missiles miss. There's a reason the threats fade. There's a reason Iran can't defeat Israel. Long before Israel was a nation, she was a promise. To a man with no heir, God said, "I will make you into a great nation. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you, I will curse." They tried to erase her. Rome, Persia, Germany. Her enemies change, but the pattern remains. A people hated, hunted, but never destroyed. You see war, but heaven sees covenant. That's what they don't understand. Israel doesn't survive because she is strong. She survives because God is faithful. Empires rise, they conquer, they burn, and they vanish. But Israel, the one they tried to erase, still lives. How? At the foot of a mountain, a covenant was made, not with kings, not with armies, but with a people. If you are careful to obey, I will be your God, and you will be my people. This isn't nationalism. It's not strategy. It's identity woven into DNA, into exile, into return. For every Pharaoh, a deliverance. For every Haman, an Esther. For every Hitler, a homeland reborn. They scream louder. They build rockets. They write the end. Again. But every Friday night, the covenant is remembered, not in violence, in light. In halls of power, the votes pile up, resolutions, condemnations, sanctions, but not against terror, against Israel. They say she is the problem, that the only Jewish state is one too many. And in cities far from rockets and rubble, the hatred spreads. It's the old story, written in new ink. From the river to the sea, they chant it loud. They think they're just talking politics. But history knows better. It always starts with Israel, but it never ends there. They've asked that question for 2,000 years, in Babylon, in Berlin, in Tehran, in Paris. Every time the world turns, they are told to run. But this time, they don't. Because prophecy isn't shaken by protest, and God doesn't vote. They fire by the hundreds, each rocket meant to break her, to bring her to her knees. But the sky fights back. The world calls it technology. But Israel knows it's more than that. You can't program hope. You can't intercept prophecy. They plan her destruction, carefully, publicly. But for every plan drawn in sand, there's a promise written in heaven. It's not a military shield. It's a divine one. They may strike with missiles, but they're fighting a mountain with matches. Every age has tried. Every tyrant has failed. Because this isn't just a land. It's a testimony, and that they'll never understand. Before armies, before borders, there was a voice and a promise. I will establish my covenant between me and you, and your descendants after you, an everlasting covenant. No nation, no army, just a man and a God who never lies. The story of Israel didn't begin with war. It began with wonder. Through slavery, they remembered. Through exile, they sang. Through genocide, they held on. The world tried to scatter them, erase them, but God kept his word. After 2,000 years, the bones stood up, and the promise breathed again. They weren't just returning to a homeland, they were stepping back into covenant. This isn't just political, it's prophetic. Hope woven into history, a people woven into purpose. Because the God who promised has not changed, and he never will. Every year they gather, they pass declarations. They condemn one name more than any other. Not North Korea, not Iran, not Syria, but Israel. She's called occupier, aggressor, oppressor. The war isn't just on the battlefield. It's in minds, in media, in classrooms. Generation after generation is taught that Israel must fall, and so the world prepares a grave. For a nation it cannot kill, but Israel has seen this before. They tried to erase her with bullets. Now they try with lies. Same hatred, different mask, and still she walks forward, not by power, not by might. He who watches over Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. They throw fire, but they forget. The one who walks through fire with them, she burns, but she is not consumed. The whole world may rise against her, but heaven has already made its decision. Once it was nothing. Sand, stone, swamp. Mark Twain called it a hopeless, dreary, heartbroken land. No oil, no resources, just a promise. I will make the wilderness like Eden. They returned with nothing. No weapons, no armies, just prayers and plows. And the desert answered. Surrounded by failure, she thrives. In a region of oil, it is the land without oil that leads in technology. In a region of war, it is the land under siege that builds life. She teaches the world to grow food in drought, to create water from air, to heal in the face of death. They curse her, yet she blesses them. Nations will come to your light, kings to the brightness of your dawn. A land that should have stayed dead leaves. There are truths, and then there are tactics. Footage is edited, stories are framed, and hearts are moved, not by facts, but by feelings. A child's face on a poster is more powerful than a map. Images don't need context, just outrage. And behind the camera, stories are staged. Not always, but often enough to matter. When war becomes theater, the world stops looking for truth, only for drama. Wars are no longer fought only with missiles, but with memes, hashtags, and algorithms. In this war, everyone has a weapon, a screen, and every scroll shapes perception. Truth doesn't trend, emotion does. This isn't about facts, it's about framing. And the platform always amplifies the loudest. While bombs fall in silence, narratives roar through fiber optics. This is not just a war of armies, it's a war of meanings. To the world, these are images. To the people, their identity. Every stone has a story. Every site is sacred to someone. When symbols clash, compromise collapses. It's not just politics, it's prophecy. In this land, every symbol is a signal. Every gesture, a gamble. Every conflict has a limit. A moment when words no longer hold back weapons. For years, it's been a cold war, fought through proxies, not passports. But the closer Iran gets to the bomb, the thinner the line becomes. The world negotiates. Israel prepares. The red line isn't ink on paper, it's a decision in a war room. And it could be crossed in a single night. One spark in the Middle East. And the world feels the aftershock. This isn't just about Iran and Israel. It's about prophecy, power, and pressure that could tear nations apart. Some believe it will end in diplomacy. Others believe it will end in flames. When the heavens shake, the ground beneath all of us moves. They chant death to Israel in Tehran. They burn flags in the streets. But Israel is not the true target. She is the symbol. What Iran fears isn't a nation, it's a covenant. What extremists despise isn't a people, it's the promise they carry. Israel reminds the world that God still speaks, that He still chooses, that history is not random, it's written. Hatred of Israel is older than politics, older than land. It is spiritual. The war isn't just against a people, it's against a prophecy. And that means it's a war they cannot win. This isn't just about Iran, not just about Israel. It's about a line drawn long ago, one that still holds. From Babylon to Berlin, from Pharaoh to the Ayatollah, every power that sought to erase Israel has been erased. Israel doesn't just survive history, she proves it. So ask yourself, if every enemy falls, and Israel remains. Maybe the question isn't, can Iran destroy Israel? But rather, who is writing the story? This isn't just politics, it's prophecy. You've seen the headlines, but now you've seen the story behind them. If this opened your eyes, don't keep it to yourself. History isn't over, and truth needs a voice. Be one of them.